Hey everybody, glad you guys are here. We'll give everybody a few seconds to get signed in and ready to go. I am Tracy Smith and I teach math. And I have a special guest with me, who is the president of County FFA.
Hello.
And he's going to be chiming in and answering questions from students. I hope we can give you guys some ideas that you will be able to use the program, and hopefully you can get something out of this that might inspire you to do a similar project or something that you come up with on your own. Okay. Here we go. So we're going to talk about intergenerational service learning, and we're just going to talk from the perspective of what we have done and what we've learned from that, and our experiences, and hopefully, like I said, hopefully you guys can come away with something that you might be able to do in your math programs that would let students become more familiar with working with different people from different generations and just develop those soft skills that we hear so much about in career tech education. Really been a focus on that in the past few years. Employers really want kids who are able to socialize with a variety of people. And
hey Tracy, we're getting some feedback and the sound's kind of echoing again. It's going in and out. I'm not sure if it's something with the mic on your end or if it's because Logan's so close. It's kind of making a weird echoing noise and it's not coming through completely clear.
Okay, is this better?
There's still a little bit of an echo. It wasn't doing this earlier, so I don't understand why it's doing it now.
Okay. Better or no?
There's still an echo, but it's clear, yeah.
Okay. I don't know. Logan, can you mute yours for now? We'll see if that helps. Okay. Did that help at all?
Yes, yes.
We'll just leave Logan muted until it's his turn, and then we can mute me if we need to, okay? Okay, sorry about that, everybody. But we're going to talk about intergenerational service learning today, and we'll just carry on now. Like I said, we're from Pickett County High School and FFA, and we partnered with Pickett County Care and Rehab. And the background on this project, it started with an idea that we could do some service learning and help the residents at our local nursing home, Pickett County Care and Rehab, to have some fun and good experiences and also learn while we were doing that. So we had support from the quality of life director there when we ran the idea by her, and we just started brainstorming, and this is what we came up with. We have a pretty unique situation. Our high school has about 200 students, 9 through 12. And an average of those 200 students, we typically have about 125 who are enrolled in ag. So we have a big percentage of our kids who are in ag classes through the day, and a lot of those are involved in FFA and pretty active in FFA. Pickett County Care and Rehab is very small. They only have the capacity to serve 69 residents, so that's a unique situation as well. Our school is a 5-minute walk from Pickett County Care and Rehab, so that allowed us to be able to go over there without transportation issues pretty much anytime we chose. Pickett Care and Rehab, they have a unique perspective, different than a lot of nursing home facilities. They focus on quality of life for residents. They focus on community involvement. They employ a full-time quality of life director. And this is a quote from their website. At Signature, the phrase quality of life means many things, but most important, it means continuing to live life to the fullest extent possible, regardless of age or physical challenges. These residents, they go on vacations, they have regular outings, they host hobby clubs, and they even hold an annual Senior Olympics, which is really fun, but this year COVID ruined it. So we do have a unique situation, but anybody could make this work, I believe, or something like this work with a little bit of creativity. Our FFA members live by the motto, learning to do, doing to learn, earning to live, and living to serve. So we took that motto into this project and went full steam ahead with it. Learning to do. The student leaders in our club recognized immediately that they had the opportunity to learn to do the following things, plus a lot more. They learned event planning, written communication, communication with people from different backgrounds, planning for inclusion and adaptations based on a wide variety of abilities and special needs, empathy, leadership, food prep and presentation, food safety, basics of animal therapy, and the benefits of human and animal relationships, plant propagation, indoor plant care, working vegetables into ornamental gardens, building modified plant beds, and building modified plant tables. So in Doing to Learn, we started one of the first hands-on learning activities that we did was plan a social event, a kind of meet and greet, get to know you, to kick off our partnership and our project together. Students worked with the dietary staff at the nursing facility to plan a small menu of refreshments that were served during a meet and greet event. This involved learning about different dietary considerations and also involved nutritional planning, because obviously all foods are not for all people, and they had to offer different items that would be appropriate and attractive for the seniors. You know, they would rather have lemonade or coffee, and no Red Bulls were provided. We had to take all these things into consideration. And students learned to consider food safety. We had to think about transporting the food and getting it there safely, safe handling and storage techniques that are all a part of food safety and a part of ag. Students learned about food presentation even. They made just a really attractive presentation for these seniors to enjoy. And that's how we kicked off our project. And it was really great for the kids to just be able to mingle with the residents and just kind of get to know them and see them as people that they could relate to and become friends with. We also learned ag history and practiced writing. We collaborated with our English teacher. One of our English teachers was very willing to collaborate with us on this project, and she even went with us one day and toured around with the students. And students interviewed residents about their ag experiences throughout their lives. And they focused on innovations and improvements in local agriculture. So some of these residents are well up in years, and they had some very varied experiences. I mean, from horse and buggy days on up to full mechanization. And so they've seen a lot of changes, and that was really interesting to the students to be able to chat with them about that and think about how much agriculture's changed in our little area in these residents' lifetimes. I think I saw that a hand was raised. Sydney?
Yes.
Okay, do you see a raised hand somewhere? Can you help me out with that?
I do. So it is Trina Holly, and unfortunately, you are unable to unmute. So if you have a question or a concern, feel free to type it in the chat, and we'll try to figure it out as fast as we can.
Yes, please, Trina. Let us know what we can do to clarify or answer questions. So students compiled the interview responses that they got when they were interviewing the residents, and the eventual goal is to compile these local ag histories into a book, and we'll have copies. We intend to have copies that we keep at the local library, at Pickett County Care and Rehab, and also Pickett County High School Library. And I think that'll just be a really neat thing to have over time, and families would enjoy that as well. Also, in Doing to Learn, one of the things that the kids practiced was plant propagation. Students researched different varieties of succulent plants that would be easy to propagate and also easy for residents to care for long term. They had to take into consideration which plants would be able to survive inside with low light in some situations, and that would take the abuse of sometimes maybe not being watered often and things like that. So they chose 3 varieties of succulent plants, and cuttings were donated by our local greenhouse. So the students learned to propagate those plants by root cuttings from the parent plants. And then later we shared those with our friends, the residents at Pickett County Care and Rehab, and we'll share some more about that and more pictures. So they also collaborated. We collaborated with art class, and our art teacher was kind enough to work with some of our students to decorate, create pots, decorative pots for gifting to our friends at Pickett County Care and Rehab. And those are the pots that we ended up sharing with them to plant the succulent plants that we grew for them. Okay, so another part that was really a big learning experience for our students was planning activities for people with varied abilities and special needs. There was just a lot to consider here, and I was so proud of the way the students learned to consider other people's abilities and how things would need to be done to include as many people as possible. Students learned by collaborating with the Quality of Life Director at Pickett Care and Rehab to plan an activity to pot plants for residents to keep in their rooms. And before we did that activity, we talked about different struggles that some of the residents might have. Some people have mobility issues. Some people have really bad arthritis and things that affect their hands. We talked about what it would be like and practiced putting rubber bands and things like that on our fingers so that we could empathize with that. Some students got to look through glasses that had Vaseline on them so that they could understand or empathize with people who might have visual problems like cataracts and things like that. So we try to prepare everybody to go into this with as much empathy and understanding as possible. And students learn to make accommodations and modifications in order to include all residents regardless of ability levels. And that even included bedfast residents. We had several residents who were bedfast, or sometimes they would just feel like they wanted to participate, but they just weren't digging, getting out of bed that day. So students had little carts that could be taken around to the residents' rooms, and they could do these activities with them on those carts, like the plant potting activity. And the residents really loved that activity. Most of them had grown up in agriculture or in gardening and enjoying just getting their hands dirty and taking care of things that are living. So they really did enjoy that. So this helps students learn to anticipate the needs of others. They had to really sit down before we went and think, what are we going to be able to do? What's reasonable? Set some goals that were geared toward all different ability levels. And I think that was really eye-opening, because a lot of us take for granted our good health and mobility, and that we're so able to do things. And students just learned a lot of empathy and compassion while they were planning this. This is a picture from our plant potting activity, and this was just the students getting ready, getting things ready for the residents to come out onto the courtyard and start potting their plants. And I wish I had done a better job taking pictures of the residents, but I was so busy trying to facilitate a lot of this that I was just everywhere, and we need a professional photographer next time. Also, students learned by researching and designing and building plant beds that would accommodate wheelchairs, so that some of our seniors who wanted to regularly get their hands dirty would be able to wheel up under these plant beds. And this one's not complete in this picture, but when it was completed, they're able to roll up under them and get in the dirt, plant things and grow things, and just feel like they're doing something that they remember doing most of their lives, that they love. Students also researched therapeutic benefits of animals. At Pickett County Care and Rehab, like I shared already, they are quality of life focused. So they love having animals. It really makes the residents happy, and they even have a couple of dogs who live there full time. One of the dogs is a Chihuahua, and she came with her owner when her owner came to live at Pickett County Care and Rehab. And the quality of life director talked to our students and explained a lot about how animals have therapeutic benefits to these residents, and how it helps them to feel happy and needed, and they just really enjoy animals. A lot of these residents, us being from a rural county like we are, a lot of them had living things depend on them their whole life, whether that's plants or animals, until they came to live at Pickett County Care and Rehab. So this is the first time for most of them that they've ever been without animals. So that's pretty hard for some of them. They really miss those animals. So the kids learned about all the therapeutic benefits, and we took a pony. And one of my favorite things that I've heard at Pickett County Care and Rehab is when we brought the pony inside, and a lady hollered out really loud, and she said, "There's a horse in the house," and she was very excited, and it was a great day. So obviously, our focus in career and tech is to prepare students to enter the workforce. And so how did this project help my students, and how would a project like this potentially help your students to be workforce ready? According to a Harvard study, social skills equal higher earning potential for STEM students. As you can see, since 1980, this study has gone since 1980, and these upper lines show the earning potential for students with higher social skills and higher math skills. The blue line is higher social skills and higher math skills. So the red line is high social, low math. I'm not saying math's not important. I'm just trying to demonstrate that social skills are very, very important. And we hear that over and over in CTE, that we need these kids to come out ready to join the workforce and be able to have the social skills to let them be successful. So this was a good study, an interesting study over a long period of time that shows how important those social skills are. According to LinkedIn, they interviewed all of these businesses, and they asked what the top 5 soft skills were for 2020. And this is the top 5 list according to LinkedIn. And most of these have been in the top 5 for several years, and you can reasonably see why. Creativity, persuasion, collaboration, adaptability, and emotional intelligence. So, how did this project help students develop soft skills to better prepare them for employability? In terms of creativity, students practiced creativity at multiple points during this project. They had to create attractive food displays for the social event. They created and decorated those pots for the potting activity and the plants that we shared with the residents. And we did that many months ago, and pretty much every room still has those plants. And when we go by, which we haven't been able to for a while because of COVID, they're very proud to show how much their plants have grown and how they've taken such good care of them. They also had to use creativity to find ways to include vegetables in ornamental landscapes. So at Pickett County Care and Rehab, they have this lovely courtyard, and we incorporated vegetables into their courtyard, vegetables that they can just roll up and pick like cherry tomatoes. And we found attractive ways to plant those into the ornamental landscapes. That required some creativity. The students also employed creativity in creating and designing the plant beds that would accommodate wheelchairs and walkers. How did we use persuasion? We used persuasion in a lot of ways. We used persuasion on donors and supporters of this project. I made the students do a lot of this because they need to learn these skills. That's what it's all about. We had to persuade administrators to get on board with this project and help them see the value in it. And it didn't take a lot of persuasion, but in the beginning, we did have to talk to and persuade the quality of life director at Pickett Care and Rehab. There were concerns to start with that sometimes some groups of high school students may not be rule followers, or they may not be very respectful of others. And that concern went away very, very quickly with this group of kids, and I was always proud. They always represented us well. But that was a concern to begin with, that, you know, hopefully the students would be respectful and act the way that they should, and of course they did. So they had to persuade them with their actions. We had to persuade the English and art teachers. The kids had to sell these ideas and this project to them to get them on board to collaborate with us. Of course, our student leaders had to persuade other students. We needed a lot of people to make this project effective in the long run. We needed a lot of people to have hands-on interaction with these residents to make this worthwhile and beneficial. So our student leaders had to persuade other students to get involved. And Logan's going to talk to y'all about that in a few minutes. And we had to persuade residents of Pickett County Care and Rehab. Some residents needed no persuasion. Other residents, they thought they would rather just stay in bed and hope we didn't, you know, bother them. But most of them, when the kids would go in and say hi and be friendly and it looked like we were having fun, they were persuaded. We had pretty much 100% participation most days. And we even had to persuade a pony at one point. We had to persuade a pony to go inside on a slick floor, which any of you people who have equine experience know that would be a real persuasion for a pony, but the pony did well and everything turned out okay. Collaboration. One of the main things, of course, that employers want students to be able to do when they come out of high school or college is they want these kids to be able to play well with others and work in teams and collaborate and recognize the strengths of others and work together. So this project did require a huge amount of collaboration between different people and different groups. Of course, the students had to collaborate with me. We had to play well together. Student-to-student collaboration. They had to work well together, plan. We had different teams and groups who focused on different projects and different parts of individual projects. And students had to collaborate with these residents. They worked together to make this a fun activity for everybody and a great learning experience. They had to collaborate with the quality of life director, and I just can't say enough about how great she was to work with the students, explain why things were the way they were, why we do things the way we do, and just encourage them and help them. She was just great to collaborate with our students. They collaborated with the art teacher, the English teacher, and of course the dietary staff at the nursing home. Adaptability is a big deal, especially right now. I feel like we've all learned some adaptability skills. So students were forced to adapt in a lot of ways. Comfort levels with new people, elderly people, and people with special needs. This was a huge learning situation for a lot of kids. One girl confided before we went the first time that she was scared of elderly people. And we talked about it, and she wasn't scared of elderly people like they would physically harm her. She was uncomfortable talking with them because she felt like it was scary. She wouldn't know what to say. She wouldn't say the right things. Maybe she would say the wrong things. She was just really uncomfortable. And I found out that a lot of kids felt that way. They were just really uncomfortable talking to new people, particularly elderly people or people with different kinds of special needs. So these students learned that they can find something in common with almost anybody, and they had to adapt and move forward. And they did a great job doing that. They all learned and made friends, and it was just a really great experience in that way. They had to adapt to time restraints, weather restraints. We had to push back one event that we had planned because of a snow day. So we had to just back up and adapt all around on that one. And of course, we've had to adapt with COVID-19. We've not been able to go out and visit. This summer, we've just kind of been on a break with this project because we haven't been able to go. But starting back to school, we have plans. We're going to have pen pals. Some of these guys have made special friends there. Some of them have relatives there. Those people will have pen pals. They'll pen pal their special friends. Other people will be assigned pen pals, and we'll just, as long as we're not able to go, we will just correspond in writing and do fun things that way. So we've had a lot of opportunity for learning adaptability. Earning to live. So again, how did this project help students develop soft skills to better prepare them for employability? Emotional intelligence. That's one that we don't always talk a lot about. Emotional intelligence is not very tangible to me, but according to Psychology Today, emotional intelligence refers to the ability to identify and manage one's own emotions as well as the emotions of others. Students had to really practice managing their own emotions. This can be an emotional environment. Again, a lot of them had some anxiety, not just about talking to new people, but talking to elderly people or people with special needs. They didn't really know what they were going to say at first. That was emotional. Sometimes we would show up and find out that one of our friends wasn't feeling well, or they had taken a turn for the worse. That can be pretty emotional. Students had to manage their own emotions in a lot of ways. We even lost one of our elder friends who was just our biggest fan in this project. Her name was Miss Charlene Martin, and Miss Martin had just such a cool life experience, and the kids loved talking to her and hearing about her experiences. She had been an atomic girl during World War II, and she had been a teacher in this area, and a lot of their grandparents had her as a teacher, and she just loved teaching our kids. And it was really sad. It was emotional when she passed away. It was hard for the kids. So they had to learn a lot of these soft skills as far as controlling their own emotions and just anticipating the emotions of other people. Sometimes we would go in, and sometimes residents were kind of grumpy. And so students had to learn not to react to that, not to take it personally. And you teachers can relate to that. We have to practice that most days, not taking things personally and not reacting in an emotional way ourselves. So I feel like that was really good practice for these kids. Sometimes we had residents who struggle with dementia and Alzheimer's who would have good days some days and bad days some days. That made the students sad, and it was hard to know how to navigate that. But they did really well, and I feel like that was a good learning experience in regards to emotional intelligence. Students also learned and practiced networking. We're in a very small town, and all of us understand how important it is to have a good network. And these kids worked with nursing staff, they worked with dietary staff, they met family members, and of course, like I've mentioned several times, they worked with a great quality of life director, and they made new friends, and who knows where those friendships will take them or how those friendships may be able to benefit them in the future. Health science experience networking was really good for some of our students because we are a very small school. We don't have a health science program here. So some of our students who plan to go into health sciences or nursing in particular, they were able to meet and network with people who may be able to help them in the future, advise them, or even give them jobs, summer jobs and internships, perhaps. Living to serve. This was my absolute favorite part of this project. Of course, it was so fun to see the way that these students learned through this process and grew during this project, but the service part was just so heartwarming and overwhelming and just had all the feel-good stuff in it. Julia Burton, who's a quality of life director, said, "We absolutely love having y'all come. The intergenerational interaction really helps with the plague of loneliness we often see in the elderly. It gives them a sense of purpose and helps them alleviate boredom. The elders look forward to seeing the kids and socializing with them." And they did. They would just be so happy to see the kids and smiling most of the time and just really excited to see their friends. And you teachers understand that high school level kids just come with this energy level that is hardly ever seen anywhere else. They're just so full of energy and life and enthusiasm. And I just think that was very refreshing for these elderly residents at Pickett County Care and Rehab. And that was just so fun to see faces light up when we came over. These pictures really say it all. Look at these beautiful, happy faces and try not to smile. I think it's pretty impossible. This lady loved the pony so much. She enjoyed just having a talk with the pony and petting the pony, and she would have kept the pony forever, I think, but we had to take her on. This guy was so fun. The two of these guys, they really got to be buddies and enjoyed spending time together. These two were one of my favorite friendship stories. The resident, Deborah, she is a fan of hard rock, believe it or not, and she loved to share her music with the student, and she loved to talk about her music. And when we would go to visit, she always wanted to pair up with her friend, and they were just really comfortable working together and developed a friendship. And you just never know where you're going to find friends or in who or what you might have in common. This lady, she had a lot of mobility issues, but she always wanted to participate, and she was always enthusiastic about participating, which was a good lesson for the kids, that we could adapt things to people with different ability levels. And, there's fun to be had no matter what kind of situation you're in. You can have a positive attitude and try your best to look for the good. And I think she was just a really good example of that for these students. This was our friend, Miss Martin, that I talked about. And Miss Martin, she loved the pony, and she told the kids stories of riding her pony to teach school. And that was so neat for the kids to hear. Miss Martin was a teacher so long ago that her mode of transportation was a pony during the early part of her career. And she always had lots of tips and tricks to share and advice, and it was pretty hard for these guys to say goodbye to her, myself included. This man had been a farmer most of his life, and he loved talking to the kids about farming, asking them what they were growing, what kinds of ag enterprises they were involved in. He liked to give them tips and tricks. In this picture, he was showing the kids how to check the pony's teeth, and he just loved teaching the kids things that he had learned throughout his life. We got some really good feedback from the community, particularly family members of the residents. They were just really appreciative of our project and what the kids are doing. This lady on social media, this is a picture of her mother, and she says, "I just can't stop looking at this picture of my mom. Thank you once again, FFA, for doing this." And then she goes on to say, "I'm truly thankful for what you all did to brighten my mom's day. You all will forever be in my heart." And it's so neat to have people tell these kids what this project meant to their family members and how much it means. It feels really good to these kids to know that they have done something good for somebody else. Another lady, and this is my very favorite picture. I know I've shared it twice, but this picture is pure joy. And this lady, she told us that it was a very nice picture of her grandmother and thanked us for all we do for the elders at Pickett Care and Rehab. And we got a lot of mail. We got note cards and letters thanking the kids for their efforts, because people recognized, like our Pony Day, that was in the middle of the summer. These kids came in during their summer break. There was really, they didn't get a prize. We didn't pay them to come in. They gave up their time during the summer to come in and do a lot of these activities. And people just really recognized how wonderful that was, and how the kids were so bought in and they saw the value in this themselves. And I was also inspired by that. I just think it was really neat how involved the kids got and how willing they were to give up their own time and do things to help these seniors just, you know, have a good quality of life, have fun, do some neat things. So how did we gain funding for these projects? Well, we did a lot of it on the cheap, but some of it we did with a Day of Service mini grant. We asked, we applied for a Day of Service mini grant through National FFA Association, and we were awarded that grant for our meet and greet session, our reception. So that's how we bought all the lovely food and goodies that we shared with the residents that day. We applied for and received a semester-long Living to Serve grant from National FFA Association. That's how we purchased plant materials and building supplies to do some of the projects that we did. And we had support from PWP Wolf River Valley Growers. They're always great to support us in whatever we do, and it was no different in this situation. They were there to help us however they could. And of course, we called in favors from people, and we called in a favor from my son, who provided the use of his pony. And we had different people from the community and residents, family members who were supportive and asked ways that they could help us, and were just really great. So how did we get these students to buy into this project? The big thing was overcoming student preconceived notions about the elderly. Like I said, some of these students were not very, they're not comfortable with new people, and they're not comfortable with elderly people. Maybe they haven't had a lot of experience with grandparents, great-grandparents. Some of them had. Some of them had been going to the nursing home for years and years and years. We had some who used to go to work with their moms at the nursing home during the summer. So it was old news to them. And that helped to get other kids on board. They told them, you know, this is no big deal. It's kind of fun. These people are nice. They're just people like everybody else. Student leaders were invaluable in this. And this is where Logan is going to chime in. And Logan is a fantastic leader, and he's always willing to be an influence for good. And so Logan's going to talk about what this project was like for students. Logan, I'm going to ask you to unmute, and I'm going to mute myself.
Okay, I think I'm unmuted now. This was a wonderful project for all of our students, me included. I really enjoyed it, and it was a wonderful experience being able to go, and you know, it's different. You know, a lot of people had to get out of their comfort zone. I was out of my comfort zone some of the time, but it was I learned a lot. We learned so much from the residents there. They had so much to tell us, and so much to teach us. And there's definitely a age gap, but we overcome that. You know, it was nice being able to talk with them, and I thought the project was a wonderful idea, and I had to do some convincing with my friends, you know, so that they would come. And all of them did. You know, we had a great turnout for people in the class wanting to come and wanting to participate. It was just awesome. And if this virus had not come along, we'd probably still be doing it this summer. And you know, there was so much. We have so much planned, and we just hope to keep doing it and keep on with it. It was a great learning experience, and I think it's something we'll never forget. And I don't think the residents will forget it either.
Okay, I saw a hand up. Are you able to help with that, Sydney? Did they post a question on the chat?
We are actually at 2:17 or 1:17 your time. So,
Whoops, sorry. We're really excited about this, and I hope everybody else is excited about it too. And I hope you guys got some info that might inspire you or help you to implement something like this in your own classrooms.
if you want to give them the keyword, and then we can ask the ones who did have questions to just kind of hang back, and we'll get to those in just a second.
Okay, great. The key word is South Dakota. South Dakota, like the state. And if someone can post that on the chat for us, that would be fantastic.
Okay, so we do have a couple questions.
Okay.
They are a little buried, so just give me a second.
Okay.
One of the common ones I'm seeing is for you to post the presentation in the files so they can refer back to it later.
Okay, I can do that.
And you will have access to the chat and the files even after this meeting has ended, so don't worry about trying to hurriedly download them as soon as it ends. You have plenty of time.
Okay. Okay. Other things?
How do you plan to continue and modify the services now with the COVID safety restrictions?
Okay, well, like I said, we're going to have pen pals. Another idea that we have that we're going to try to implement in the fall, we would like to have an antique tractor parade. And even if we can't have contact with the residents, we could drive by their windows and wave at them, and maybe they would enjoy seeing antique tractors. I think they would like that. And so we have several ideas, and we'll just keep on thinking up other stuff. Who knows where this is going to take us or how long it's going to take us to get past this. But we have a few things that we are kicking around. We may even start to do some sharing type things on video. It's like everything else. We're just trying to adapt this as we go.
I see one other. By any chance, are students assigned with FFA program of work committees in mind? Like, is there any FFA related stuff going on?
Oh, sure. I mean, all of these students who participated in this are FFA members, and I don't know if that answers the question. I don't know if they're asking if these are ag students who are not otherwise involved in FFA, or if they're only FFA members. I'm not sure if that answers the question.
I think that is all I'm seeing. Is just for the presentation to be put in the file again.
Okay, we can do that.
All right.
Thanks, guys. You've been great, Sydney. Thank you so much. Have a good weekend.
You too.
Bye-bye. Okay, now we need to end this meeting, or no, it's probably already ended because I think